Hey guys, James Blonde here with MMOs.com, and sadly this year I didn't get to go to E3, but just like a lot of you guys, I did try to keep up with it and saw some pretty exciting new titles I can say I'm looking forward to. So I figured as the final piece in our E3 coverage, I would sort of recap and show you guys what titles that I'm particularly excited for that came from the show in general, not necessarily the free-to-play games either. Pretty much anything that I thought was awesome or impressive from this year's show. So one of the first games featured at E3 that's starting to grow on me a little bit is Evolve. Maybe because they play the trailer over and over again on Twitch, who knows. But I saw the game at PAX East and I thought it looked really cool, but now that I've seen a little bit more of the gameplay when they had the tournaments and whatnot, and now that they have a new monster, the game has once again grabbed my attention. I think I like the direction they're going with the game. The whole 4v1, but the one is a big-ass raid boss-like monster. It's pretty cool. Now, Borderlands, on the other hand, you guys that know me probably know that that game is my cup of tea. I've fallen in love with the series, and although I was a little bit skeptical about the new pre-sequel game, you know, thinking that it should be another DLC for Borderlands 2, kind of like the Tiny Tina one, the gameplay that I saw at E3 makes me feel a little bit better knowing that there are a lot more mechanics involved with the low gravity, the new element, and of course the oxygen mod, that sort of stuff. Plus, you get to play as Claptrap and Wilhelm as he turns into the big mech thing that we see in Borderlands 2. And in this one, supposedly, Handsome Jack is the hero because he's actually trying to save the people on the moon. Okay, I'm sold. Now, the next game that I thought looked really freaking good was Batman Arkham Knight, and I think a lot of you guys would agree with me here. At the beginning of the trailer, we have a Batman-Iron Man hybrid thing going on with the new bat armor, which is awesome. And then you just get that automatic grin when he summons the new Batmobile that also turns into a freaking bat tank, which of course everyone is talking about now, and the gameplay here looks epic. But in this case, the villain of the year goes to Scarecrow, for sure. I mean, come on, look at this guy. That's movie quality right there.
As I drag your beloved Gotham into oblivion.
This year they had a little bit more to show us on Dying Light, and they actually let the press play the game. Last year we saw a teaser for the game, and this year we see the day and night cycle and overall player progression. It's so cool. They've got this mechanic that shows an X-ray impact and you bash a zombie in with whatever weapon you may be using. And so you can use this to do things like take out the legs of the attackers, for example. Even though that's probably not going to keep them from crawling after you, it's still a cool mechanic. Definitely a zombie game that I'm going to be checking out. On a similar note, Deep Silver announced Dead Island 2 with an awesome new teaser trailer. That was a pretty fun game. From the trailer, it looks like we've got a new location. I'm kind of looking forward to what the new game has to offer. Not sure how long we'll have to wait until we see some gameplay. Now, one thing I've got to admit that EA did that was pretty cool was with Battlefield Hardline. Now, this really isn't my type of game, mind you, but I did think it was cool that they gave so many people access to the beta the instant they announced the game. That hardly ever happens. I mean, you go to E3, you see all these cool new titles that you're just itching to play, you go home, and then you have to wait months for them to come out. Giving players access to the beta was a pretty good move on their part, to be honest. So hopefully we see other game companies pick up on this next time around. Oh, and I also think Ubisoft did a really good job with the new Assassin's Creed. Not only with the co-op aspect, but with the new setting, which is supposed to be in Paris, just before the French Revolution. It's kind of a nice touch. And once again, I'm not the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed. Not really sure why, but now that they're introducing the immersive gameplay like they're doing with a lot of the next-gen games, it kind of just jump-started my interest once again. And then we have the sequels to games, or the continuation of a series of games that like to come out during E3, kind of like the ones we just talked about, or the new Smash Brothers game, where we see a nice return of the old characters, and some strange, or awesome, new ones, like the Wii Fit Trainer, or the Villager. Okay, wait a minute, I mean, who gets excited when they showed that? Oh my god, I can't wait to play as the Wii Fit Trainer! You can play as stupid Samus, and I'll play as my favorite new character, the Villager! Either way, Smash Brothers is always fun, so it doesn't matter really what they add. Combo that with a new Zelda game, and I say you've got a pretty good reason to now pick up a Wii U. Gameplay footage of this game looks so good. But speaking of Wii U, the only game that disappointed me this year was probably Sonic Boom. I'm a huge Sonic fan, I can't help it, but What the heck? I mean, come on, the characters look completely different. They're all bandaged up, and what, did Knuckles like de-evolve? He's built like Taz now. His neck disappeared. It's gone. Okay, I get it, it's also a TV show, but they should have stuck with the Sonic Generations type Sonic stuff. That stuff was actually pretty cool. Anyway, back to the next in the series type games. They showed us the new Smash Brothers, new Zelda, and a new Magicka game, Magicka 2, with by far the funniest trailer coming out of E3.
Magicka 2, learn to spell again.
I bet that's going to be pretty good, seeing that the free-to-play game is getting popular. And then we have two of my personal favorites, the first of which is Mortal Kombat X, or 10, whichever you want to call it. Ed Boon calls it X, so that's what I'm going to call it. Either way, the game looks absolutely amazing. I love what they did with Mortal Kombat 9, and this just looks like a polished next-gen version with new elements like character variation and more use of the backgrounds, almost like what they did with Injustice. And then we've got some new characters that seem pretty cool. Supposedly the game takes place later on, and we see some characters like Cassie Cage, which is Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage's daughter. And of course we get to see some of the most brutal fatalities that we've ever seen in the series, which is a lot to say. Now, out of all the games announced or shown at E3, the Doom 4 teaser was the one that really shined in my book. At first you have to figure out what it is you're looking at, and then she says,
fused an unholy union of flesh and metal.
Okay, that's cool. I'm listening. And then you hear the iconic door opening sound from Doom. I just about lost it. My eyes teared up when I heard it. And then I saw the new Cyber Demon. Too bad we have to wait until QuakeCon in July to see any more. Oh well. It'll be a late birthday present, I suppose. Okay, so we did see some pretty cool stuff on the free-to-play front. Not many new announcements, but we got to see some live-action gameplay of Battlecry, the new brawler steampunk game with an interesting art style from Bethesda. Sort of looks like a cross between Team Fortress 2, Brawl Busters, Loadout, and guns. Something like that. I don't know. The gameplay looks fairly fast-paced, and the gore is real. Looking. Kinda. It looks like it could be a close-to-finish game, but it turns out we won't see beta access until 2015. Hopefully that isn't really the case. Rise of Incarnates, the new high-speed 2v2 brawler from Namco Bandai, was also at the show. Dizzy PW got his hands on the game. Everything looks nice, but according to Dizzy, the game has a long ways to go on its controls. Although it does support gamepad controllers right from the start, it's the keyboard and mouse controls that aren't quite implemented yet. The game is still in really early alpha, but it's moving pretty quickly. They announced 2 new characters at E3, so it may be a little while before we see a launch-worthy version of this game, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that long before they start letting more and more players in to try it out. From the Crytek booth, we got a little bit more insight on Arena of Fate, which I was a little bit skeptical about, and still sort of am. But it turns out the game offers some new things to the genre, kind of, like a match timer, for example, and a point system versus objective-based goals. In this game, you don't have to take down a Nexus or Ultimate Base Defense, you just have to get kills and score points. You've got 20 minutes to do it. If you don't make the 20 minutes, the team with the most points wins. Pretty simple. According to the developers, we'll see access to the game sooner than we thought, like early summertime, which is close to now. But also from Crytek, we saw Hunt, Horrors of the Gilded Age, which unfortunately Dizzy PW did not get a chance to check out, but this game seems almost like the free-to-play version of Evolve, kinda. And it also kinda looks like Battlecry, in that it takes place in the 1800s. But the idea behind the game is really cool. It's a co-op game that has you and your team hunting monsters that have a real-life story background, like myths or folklore, for example. The boss fights in the game seem really fun. Honestly, I can't wait to see more details on this one. It could very well be at the top of my new most anticipated free-play games list. And then, of course, we've got some cool information on Skyforge about the classes and progression system in the game, which I've got to say, it seems to be more and more impressive as I hear more and more about it from Dizzy. And apparently the UI in the game is something new and exciting that we haven't quite seen yet before, and seeing that you play as an immortal, becoming a god in this game, apparently the more epic you become, more people worship you, and the more power you'll pack in each attack. Now, unfortunately, we still don't have a closed beta date for this game, but just like the other My.com games, I think it may be sooner than we had originally thought. But anyway, guys, I think this year's E3 was fairly impressive across the board now that we're digging deeper into the next-gen consoles and the games are looking that much better and better. This E3 had a somewhat prominent theme to it. It was all about the co-op gameplay, like Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six Siege, Evolve, and plenty others. It had that 1800s setting, kind of like with Assassin's Creed again, Hunt, Horrors of the Gilded Age, The Order, and of course a couple others. And then it's got the big-ass monsters like Evolve, Doom 4, and Sonic Boom, seeing that itself is probably going to be a big-ass monster. And of course there are plenty games that got announced that I didn't mention, but these titles are the ones that caught my interest the most. Let us know in the comments below what announcements or titles from this year's E3 that you are most excited for. Be sure to catch up on all of our E3 coverage, which I've got linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, that's going to be it from me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.